Yo, what's up, guys? We're back with another session. We hit 2K subs. Thank you so much. Means a ton. This session is really crazy. I'm all in. The first hand I get dealt in. Will I double up? Will I get scooped? We'll see. And later on, I have a guy call me down on the river lighter than I've maybe ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe the hand he showed. So it's a bonkers session. Before we get into it, you guys can leave a like, leave us up. Helps the channel so much. Much appreciated. Anyways, let's get into the poker. The first hand I sit down, I have 300 in my stack. We have a bomb pot, and I look down at ace 8 of hearts under the gun. I mentioned it before. I love holding bomb pots. I think I'm pretty good. I know a few of you disagree. Let's see if I screw this one up. One flop comes 9-8 deuce. Okay, we flop middle pair. The second one comes queen, king, 7, all hearts. We have the nuts. Under the gun here, I bet out for $10. The +2 is a guy I haven't played with that much. He raises to 30. And when it gets back to me, I'm actually not really sure what I want to do here. If he has a set of 9s and I jam now, he's not folding. If he's got king, queen, he's not folding. I think he probably, obviously I have the nuts on my board, so it's more likely he has the other board. Is there any point to just calling here? I'm really not sure. And from a depth perspective, he's got like 170-ish behind. I wasn't really sure what I want to do here because I think he's got the other board and I don't want to chop. So I actually just straight up jam. He calls, and we have the nuts on one run out. If we hit an 8 or an ace in the second one, we might be good. The top board comes the 10 of spades and the king of clubs. That doesn't help me at all. The other board comes the 4 of spades and the jack of clubs. So we still have the nuts on that board. I show my hand hoping we scoop, but we don't. He has 4 9 of hearts. So he also flopped a flush. I was drawing dead on that board. And had a pair of 9s on the other board. That's why I'm happy I got it all in, at least from a result standpoint. I was free rolling the scoop on this guy's whole stack the first hand. Let me know what you guys would have done. I just don't know. I mean, maybe I should be calling and then jamming a turn of river, but I think it's fine. And he did have a hand that he can't fold. So quite the interesting hand for the first one, although it ends up and only winning like 20 bucks. I end up doing the usual thing where I switch tables after running bad for like an hour. And at this new table, we basically immediately see pocket 10s. The +2 opens to $10. There's a few calls. And in the big blind here with pocket 10s, although it's my favorite hand, I don't really want to go multi-way here. I think a bigger 3-bet is in order here to try to go heads up or maybe just take it down right now. I 3-bet to $50. The guy on my left immediately goes into the tank. I'm like, are you serious right now? Am I about to get limp raised? No, under the gun just calls. And the +2 calls as well. So we're 3 ways to a flop of ace, 3, 9 with 2 hearts. Now, I've talked about this fallacy before at 1-2 where this ace hits my range. These guys, they can just have ace-king. They both could. I end up c-betting anyways for $35. Under the gun calls, and then the +2 raises to 70. Now, I don't know this guy super well, and I couldn't fault you for just calling here, but is a flush draw really min-clicking it right? Isn't this just an ace? Now, I agree, a lot of aces raising here with one pair might be a little iffy, but I just think it's a bad spot. We're going to have a lot of better spots. I am just folding. Under the gun folds, and then the +2 is nice enough to show ace 3, so he flopped 2 pair on us. This next hand just goes off the rails really quickly. I'm in the small blind with pocket 10s again. There's a cutoff open to 15, a button call, and when it gets to me, it could 3-bet, could not, although I mentioned pocket 10s is my favorite hand. We just learned how unfun it is to play a hand that there's likely going to be overcards to, multi-way, out of position, so I think it's either 3-bet big or call. This time I just decided to call. The big blind is a guy I've talked about before. I've called him my rival a few times, although lately I haven't lost a pot to him in forever, so I don't know how much of a rivalry it is anymore. Really nice guy, tough player to play against. He 3-bets to 100. I am thinking about my options here. Really depends what the cutoff does, because he's the original opener. If he 4-bets or calls, I think I'm probably just going to fold, because I really don't want to be set mining with pocket 10s here for $100. But eventually the cutoff folds and the button folds as well. So when it gets to me, I actually think we're ahead here almost 100% of the time. With queens through aces, he's just not 3-betting that big. This feels like ace-king, jacks, pocket 9s, a hand that is thinking to themselves, I've got a really good hand or a ton of equity against most things, and I don't want to go multi-way. So I think the only hand we're actually behind here is pocket jacks. Y'all can let me know if you disagree. With that thought process in mind, do I want to just call 100 out of position? No, I do not. So I'm all in. He doesn't snap call, which is great, but after a few seconds, he does eventually call. My jam was for like 270-ish. So we're all in for a run out. Let's see what happens. All in.
All in?
You got an overpair?
No.
Okay. You want to show or no? I'll show. Show or no?
No,
Okay. I have a big pair, not super big, but Oh, a set. We river a set again. If y'all have been watching the recent vlogs, I'm telling you, pocket tens, it's like north of a 50% chance I'm going to river, flop, or turn a set. It's just going to happen. I thought we were probably good the entire way, to be honest. I think he just had some random hand, but when we see the river 10, we're good. We win a massive pot. Let's go. This next hand is one of the ones I was talking about in the intro. This is honestly maybe the most peculiar hand I've ever played. I've seen some weird stuff at 1-2. This is on the list. I have King 7, and naturally I just limp like everyone else to a flop of King 7-8. That's what I'm talking about. Out of position to everybody, I bet for $8. The guy from the last hand calls, the +1 calls, and then the hijack raises to $25. Now, when he does that, I think maybe he could have a king, but I think he probably would have bet it pre-flop. But then again, I don't know this guy, so I don't know how he plays. I think this likely, maybe it could be a draw at some point, but I actually think he's got King 8, 7-8, or King 7. We are behind one of those hands, chopping with the other, and then beating the other. So I just put in the call here, and so does the big blind guy from the last hand. The turn is the ace of spades. I don't really know how I feel about that. I check in flow, and so does the big blind. The hijack continues for $40. Again, I don't think there's a point to raising. I think a lot of the time we're way ahead or way behind. I just call. The big blind folds, so we're heads up to a river of the 5 of diamonds. I think that's a pretty good card. I mean, all things considered, that doesn't really hurt us. I think, though, a bet is in order because I think he likely... I'm putting him on 7-8, King 7, King 8. As I said, I think he had his hand already on the flop. And if he raises, and I'd rather not check and face a really big bet, and I think he could be behind sometimes. Maybe he just has a king. So this is kind of a mergy bet on the river here. I bet out for $55, trying to gauge where I'm at. We might be ahead, we might not. He just calls eventually. I flip over King 7, and then he flips over Queen Jack. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just confused. I don't know what that was. I understand bluffing, okay, sure, but calling with Queen Jack, I mean, what did I have 9-10? I mean, that just doesn't maybe put me on a draw. I guess there were some draws on the flop, but that was a very peculiar call. But then again, what am I trying to bet with there? I don't know. You guys can tell me if that makes any sense. Maybe there were some draws on the flop that missed. I mean, he's losing to 6-5. He's only beating 6-9 and 9-10, which I guess I could have because it's a limp pot. But that was weird. That was weird. But we move on, and I'm happy that we won a decent pot. Those of you that are vlog watchers on a regular basis have known I've been bitching about how bad I've been running for the last 2 months. All these hands at this table happen within like 45 minutes. I had pocket jacks as well. That didn't go well, but, didn't show it. I've just had a lot of hands at this table, and it's been such a nice reprieve. We look down at ace-10 offsuit. Maybe not the best one, but I'm in the hijack. I pop it up to 11. And the cutoff calls, the guys from the pocket tens hand, who I said is very tricky. I'm going to be tricky myself. I do this. I'll check dark. And I immediately regret it as the flop comes ace, 10, 8 with 2 clubs. I don't know why. Sometimes I just like to be funky, okay? He checks behind, which kind of sucks. The turn is the 6 of spades, and now you're thinking, hey, you should bet here. But again, this guy loves to bet when check 2, so I actually check again. And he does. He bets out for $15. Now, of course, we have top 2. There's a bunch of stuff. It's time to put in a raise. I raise to $50, and he calls. The river is the biggest brick in the entire deck, the deuce of hearts. Now, this guy has seen me do some weird stuff. I've bluffed him many times, and he's just called me down with top pair. So, damn it, I'm going to try again. I go near pot for $130, and he pretty quickly folds, which makes me think he did not have an ace and was more on the draw side of things. But really nice to just flop 2 pair almost in back-to-back hands. That has not happened in forever. I do have one more hand, but that was the end of that session. We were in for 300, out for 720. It felt really nice to hit a few hands in a row there. That felt great. This next hand is from the fort, and as I said, I'm so carded there, but I did have this one interesting hand in on the flop for a pot of around $400 with a open-ended straight flush draw. Let's see what happens.
Just with some fancy music when he posted it.
Oh, no, that ain't it. Come on, one time. Oh.
So that is the end of this session. Apologies, it was a bit shorter than usual, and it's been really busy at work, so this session felt like the one to post now. Next week, probably going to be posting next time on Sunday. Have a lot longer of a session. I put like $600 in with 8 high. Yeah, you won't want to miss it. Anyways, if you guys can leave a like, leave a sub, it really helps the channel. I'm Chris, and I'm out.